Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode. So great to have Dave on. Hey, Dave, today we're going to be talking about when you start a new job, it's a great time. You want to go into that job energized. You want to go into that job like feeling refreshed. You want to be able to bring your best self those first few days. So that question ends up being how much time is acceptable to ask between jobs? So you're leaving one job, you're starting another job. What do you think?
You know, it's I get asked this a lot, and I see a lot of people I see have a sense of pressure to start right away. And the company is always going to pressure you to be like, "Hey, you could when do you need me to start? Yesterday is going to be the answer." But the truth is hiring is always about importance and not urgency. And it's one of the few times you have to like really take a beat. That period between two jobs, it's like you don't have concerns about jobs. You've got all of like the relaxing mindset that the job's coming. And so take what's comfortable for you. Don't get bored. And also you can start the job before you even start. You can start to do some research, pace yourself. So what I really do is think about like, how much time do you need to cool down from your last job? The one thing I wouldn't do is like feel like you have to take it the day that they say. It's a negotiable topic. Uh, it's, definitely there's more flexibility than you think. But you also want to be mindful if there's like big events happening at the company because you don't want to set yourself up for failure if you're going to like miss out a big onboarding event that they're doing or some big corporate effort. So you can be strategic, but main takeaway is like you actually have probably a little bit more agency in that than you do. And I think if you want numbers, I think 2 to 4 weeks is absolutely fine.
Yeah, I for the most part agree with you. In the past, I had a job where I was moving from California to Nashville for that job. I asked for 4 weeks and they actually came back to me and they said, "Hey, based on the business needs, we would prefer for you to start sooner." And a funny thing happened there. They added $5,000 onto the sign-on bonus and said, "Hey, we need you to start sooner, but this will pay for your vacation, which you'll be able to take in the next 2 months." And I thought what that was interesting is because starting a new job, I probably wouldn't have tried to take a vacation within 2 months. And so what they were saying was basically our business needs in the short term, we really need somebody in this role. But a month from now, 2 months from now, when it's less pressing, you should take the time to be able to go do that. But also we'll help pay for it, which opens up Rebecca Zucker, who writes for Harvard Business Review, brought this up in an article that she wrote recently, where taking into account business initiatives is one of those things. But what I really loved in her article that she put out was she was talking about in a salary negotiation, in an offer negotiation, being able to make that negotiation about multiple factors. Research shows that candidates end up ahead if they're able to make that conversation about a few different components in addition to obviously the big one, which is base salary.
Yeah, it's just another negotiation point. I would say it's secondary to the main thing, right? That's kind of the way you're going to negotiate is lock in your big things first, and then save these for after. So this isn't going to supersede base comp, um, potentially big benefits and things like that. But this one is definitely, when you're negotiating, you have a few things that you can be able to give on. And so, if they can't get to where you need them to be on the number, then you can be like, all right, cool. Well, then I need a little bit more time. I need 4 weeks. And they're like, no, but we really need you. And it's like, okay, well, I'll come in 2 weeks if you bump the salary by 5%. So these are all things that you have as levers in a negotiation. But this is absolutely a negotiable point.
Yeah, absolutely. And, in a negotiation, when you're reading about what Never Split the Difference, for instance, is a very well known book about negotiation. You often traditionally think about negotiation as one party wins, the other party loses. In order for one party to win, the other party has to lose. And that just isn't simply the case in a job search negotiation, because if you have multiple factors that you're negotiating on, it's possible for them, the employer, to give on something that really doesn't matter to them and for you to gain something that really does matter for you. One example is the ability to be able to remote or to be able to work remotely. Some people have negotiated into their job offers the ability to be able to work Mondays remote. And from a company perspective, that doesn't cost them any money. In fact, it might actually save them money if enough people have a hybrid work schedule and they need less seats or less facility space overall. And on top of that, that might be something that's really important to you. And that might even be worth more than a 5% bump in your base salary, depending on what's important to you and what's important to the employer. So,
Yeah.
all great things to be able to consider here. And sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's cool. I was just going to agree with you. So yeah, all these the negotiation is complex and there's a lot of dimensions to it. So the more well versed you are in all of the sort of knobs you can turn, from benefits to start dates to career development budget, all those things really actually empower you in the negotiation, which I think is exactly what Rebecca was bringing up in the article.
Yeah, really great topics. We'll put a link to Rebecca's article from the Harvard Business Review in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or in the show notes if you're listening to this on our podcast. But she brings up a lot of really great points where you're taking a look at the business needs, you're taking a look at your financial situation. Do you have the ability to be able to take 4 weeks off without that? Other factors to definitely take into consideration is like bridging your healthcare. Cobra can be really, really expensive if you have to opt into something like Cobra for healthcare gap coverage. And, the last one is you definitely do want some time to be able to decompress. And so building in some amount of time ends up being really important as well.
So on the healthcare one, a good trick is, oftentimes healthcare is paid for at the beginning of the month and basically the full 30 days are covered. And the company can cancel you mid-month and then they would get that money back. But a lot of companies don't do that. So be mindful about like when your last day is. Don't make your last day the 31st of the month, because then you're not going to get insurance. Or the 30th of the month. Make your last day the 1st of the month, the 2nd of the month, the 5th of the month. And then more often than not, your insurance will carry through. And then you make your start date, the 31st of the following month, the month that you're in, and you actually had insurance covered the whole time. Because it's complicated to have insurance with 2 providers at the same time. So those are actually things to think about when you set your last day and your first day.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Your last day with your previous employer as well. Last working day and last day employed on the payroll are 2 different things. It's definitely possible to be able to finish out your PTO if you're at a company that accrues PTO and you have PTO hours, where your benefits would continue as well until your new employer starts. All really great tips. We'll put a link to Rebecca's article in the description, so check that out. We'll see you next time.
Thanks. Yeah.